Hi, I'm Nick.
I'm Jill, and
we're
we're Hipstrings.
We're back. It's December 1st, 2017, and this is episode 14.
Yes. So, it's been a while.
It's been a little while. We did a little special thing asking for your help in the intermediary.
Yeah.
But now we're in the home stretch for the year. It's almost done. All of my real work is wrapping up. And we want to spend more time knitting and spinning and with all of you.
Yep.
So I guess let's get right into it. Warp, Twisted, and Loopy.
Yes. So, I have an almost FO. It's FO-ish.
FO-ish.
Yeah. So, it's the time of year for gift knitting. And so, I am working on gifts. This is almost done. That's why it's an FO-ish. I just have to put a tapestry needle on this and pull the yarn through the stitches. Mm-hmm. This is a 2x2 hat in a Shalimar yarns, which I think I have children older than this yarn. So it's a superwash merino fingering held doubled to get a worsted weight. And so I found that my stash was woefully low on superwash wools, because I don't usually gift non-superwash unless.
Yeah, that's. We'll talk a little bit more later about gifting for or knitting for
the holidays.
Right?
Yeah.
I do want to. I want to take a look at it because I haven't actually really studied it. I've always got a very interest. I'm always interested in how decreases are done for hats.
Oh, I did this terribly. Because I had to adjust the stitch count because. So it's for a men's hat, and following the pattern, they have you cast on 112. I cast on 112, and then kind of put it on my head just as a swatch. And I had 3 inches of positive E, which I knew was not even going to fit for a man's head, because there should be negative E's in a hat. So I ripped it back and then recast on with 100 stitches instead, and then there was funkiness.
Well, I was more going to focus on the fact that I like how the ribs on one side go into the decrease, and sort of the
yeah. So it's paired decreases at 4 points.
Yeah.
Instead of doing kind of a circular decrease.
Okay. Well, anyways, we can move on to something else.
Yeah.
I went to a knitting.
A new knitting meetup.
Yeah, knitting group. In at the Ace Hotel. It's on the third Tuesday of every month, and there was a lady there who had the most fantastic pattern that she had made for a hat, and it had this really cool decrease where all of the ribs were going into the decrease, and it had a nice clean finish. But the decrease itself was one of the ribs. So it looked really, really neat. She said she's going to be selling the hats online, so I hope to see it online in a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what's I guess I should talk about an FO from my standpoint. I have a photo for my FO. I had a friend, Alex, who came to me and he said, Nick, I've got a really inappropriate request for you, and I'm thinking here he's gonna ask me something not appropriate for a podcast. But no, he said he has a new little niece that he was planning on, and he's been talking about knitting something for this niece for months, and he never actually did it. So he's like, can you help me knit a hat or something? I'm like, sure. How much time do we got? 2 days. Okay. What are we thinking? And I know that for babies, it's really easy to do like slippers or something. I can knock out some slippers super quickly. In Chile, they're called patitas. In Argentina, where my friend's family is from, they're called pantuflas. So we have this back and forth about what's the right name. Anyways. So I'm thinking, yeah, all right, I'll knit some patitas. I could probably knit them up in like an hour or so. And so I'm going out to play some board games also with these friends. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to swing by home, pick up a board game, pick up some knitting and needles. And Jill packs up my knitting bag with not worsted weight yarn and not large needles like I was expecting, but what size 00s and sock yarn?
I don't think they were 00s. I think they were zeros.
Let's find out. They're right here. Let's see, what is that? No, they're 00s.
Oh yeah, because they were the sock needles that I had put in your yarn or in your knitting bag for you to start knitting a pair of socks for me.
Yeah. So anyway, I picked this up and I'm like, well, I guess this is what I'm doing. So I made these little baby socks. And they're absolutely adorable. I shortened the length of the leg because they were designed to have them folded over so that they stay on a little bit better. But whatever, if a baby doesn't want their socks on, they don't want them on. So they'll make sure it doesn't happen, or they'll be fine with them. So, anyways, they came out adorable. And I knocked them out in 2 days. I may have worked more on them than my day job than I should have. But they came out great, and he was super happy. And so he is now that happened yesterday when I handed them over to him, and so he's traveling now to deliver them. And I told him to promise to send me a photo of the baby with the socks on. So what are you working on now?
So I am working on a sweater for Adrian. So this is out of hand spun. It's a mix of some of my own hand dyed Rambouillet and then Rambouillet from Homestead Hobbyists. So it's a ply from each braid. And this is the Imagination sweater from, I have got the book. So it's from the book Knits for Boys by Kate Oates. And the Imagination sweater is this colorwork one. I'm not doing the colorwork. I basically pattern because it's the right weight yarn and it's a shawl color sweater. And Nick already has a shawl colored sweater in this same hand spun. So this
I'm trying to remember if I've worn it during a
I'm
previous
pretty
podcast
sure you've worn it during a previous podcast. Yeah. But I had enough yarn left over that I wanted to make the boys, or at least one of the boys, a matching sweater to Nick's sweater. So that's what I'm doing. And I am on the second sleeve. And then, so I have the sleeve to finish and then the shawl collar.
Yeah, I'll be excited if we get to wear that together.
Mm-hmm.
I guess from my standpoint, I'm working on another gift for Adrian. Adrian's got all the luck this podcast. I'm making a Fair Isle stocking for him, and you can see at the top there his name. I've got a
with the funky eye.
Yeah, the funky eye, which he said that doesn't look like an eye. Anyways, so this is actually a Knit Picks pattern.
Yeah.
What was it? 4 years ago?
No.
5 years ago? 6 years ago? Yeah, no, it must have been
probably
like 6
about
or 7 years ago.
6 or 7 years ago.
They had a special where you could get a pattern and a kit for making 2 socks.
Yeah.
And I did that, and I made a stocking for Jill, and I made a stocking for myself. And then I had a bunch of the white left over, and I made a stocking for Gab.
And they had discontinued the original yarn.
Yeah, but it was, they had worsted weight wool, right? So we got some more.
Yeah, we used Cascade 220 to substitute.
And so I've got, I made one for Gab, and now I'm making one for Adrian, and then Chris will get one, and then Gab wants me to knit ones for the bunnies as well. So I may do a slightly modified, smaller version for them when I get to that point. But I've basically been doing them about one a year, except for last year when I started this one. So I got to finish this one this year, otherwise Adrian's going to be upset.
Yeah.
But I'm making good progress. I'm a little bit over halfway done.
And then I've got a couple completed spins, which are little sample skeins. So this is Exploding Tardif, which I hadn't had a sample of. So this is a case of I spun the single, and then I was like, oh, but I really want to keep the color, but I don't want to do a chain ply. I want to have fun with this. And so I decided to thread ply it. So I kind of did a spiral ply.
So what's thread plying?
So I was plying with the single of the wool and then a metallic, basically a thin strand of what gets cut up to make like Angelina or Stellina. Since this already has Stellina in it. Yeah. And so I did that, and then I was like, I didn't quite like how loose that ply was. It didn't seem stable because the wool was sliding along the thread. So then I plied it again with the same metallic thread, but in the opposite direction.
Okay.
So this has gone through the spinning wheel 3 times. It is crazy active with twist. If I take it out, this has not been washed or set. And you can see that there's definitely active twist in here. And so I'm excited to see how it all works out once it gets washed. It was fun. I may spin another more traditional sample for Exploding TARDIS, but I think this is a lot of fun.
Good.
So that's Exploding TARDIS. And then one of our new blends that isn't up in the shops yet because it's been waiting on this. This is our replacement for Titmouse, which was a merino alpaca silk. This is a Rambouillet alpaca silk. So I just decided to mix it up with Rambouillet because I love Rambouillet so much.
Ooh, it's soft.
And I think it makes a better wearing yarn
and it's
than
still
merino.
Super soft.
It's still super soft. So, and that has also not been washed. And that's just chain plied. Because I'm not, it's a heathered gray. There's not a lot happening color-wise in it.
Great.
So that's what we've been up to.
Yeah. Well, since we last talked, Indian Knit and Spin happened.
Yeah, which seems like forever ago.
Yeah, it really does. But we've been gushing about Indian Knit and Spin about every podcast for quite a while. And I remember now, actually, I've got some video.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You have to add it in.
Yeah.
Welcome to Indian Knit and Spin.
So I actually made sure I got set up the booth early and got a chance to stop by some people and pick up things before everybody else hit them. So I've got some self-striping sock yarn from Knitterly Things. This is her Vesper sock yarn. So I had a nice chat with her on what exactly I could knit with because of my dye sensitivities, but this will not bother me, so it's all safe. I got these wonderful dyed silk ribbons from Gwen Aaron Natural Fibers. She's been using them in weaving on a rigid heddle or for fringe on things. I'm thinking I will probably use them either for weaving or use them in crochet over rope baskets that I make. And she dyes with greener shades, so that these are also safe for me. And then
It's got a whole bag over here.
I have a whole bag. This is probably the most I've bought at Indie Knit and Spin in a long time. I got some naturally dyed yarn from Spencer Hill, and this is actually Cormo. So I got 3 skeins of Cormo dyed with, trying to remember exactly what it is. It's a blue that's not indigo. I think it's Saxon blue. So again, natural dye, safe for me.
And I'm noticing something here that I think is funny. 100% non-superwash.
Yes.
That's it's interesting you have to tell people that.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And then I got this beautiful set of minis from
that's a gorgeous
Wren
color
House
combination.
Yarns. Well, I've been digging through my stash a lot lately and realizing that I have yarns that I like and that work for other members of my family, but I don't have a lot of yarn that works for people I knit for outside of my family, outside the immediate family. So I was definitely low on yarn I could use for my mom, and these are totally my mom's colors. So those will be turned into a gift for my mom at some point, maybe years from now. And then I got soap from Dusty Tree Soap. So we got a shave soap for Nick. That's totally blowing out. So Nick has shea butter allergies, along with nut allergies and weird things like celery allergies.
And we've got all sorts of allergies in the family. We are fun to interact with the external environment.
Yeah. So, but this is why it's good to know makers.
I'm gonna take that now. So you were hiding that.
So that was a shave soap, and then
I need to shave a
Drunken Hippie, which is made with straw beer. This is also potentially for you. And then a charcoal soap and tea tree soap, which is for me.
You're not going to stop me from eating this?
Do not eat the soap.
There you go.
I don't think it'll go well. So those were my goodies from, and I also got a copy of the latest issue of Making, which is already on my bookshelf.
And I got, I only got one thing. Well, I sort of got 2 things. One I can't find right now, which is another ball sack from Steel City Stitcher. It's wonderful, and it goes perfectly with my Zelda bag. It's missing because Jill has misplaced one of my projects. I forgive you. It's okay. We'll find it. It's somewhere here. That's what we get for...
I have missing project bags, too, if it makes you feel any better.
No, because...
There's a missing sock. I think there's a missing sock or a missing skein of sock yarn somewhere.
Yeah, well, that's what we get for trying to find all of our stuff like 5 minutes before we decide to do the podcast. Yeah. But the other thing I want to show is this wonderful, wonderful shawl pin. And I don't know if you can see the detail, but it is incredibly smooth and incredibly... What is the full official name of the guy who makes this?
Wood Rasp Shop.
Wood Rasp Shop.
He doesn't have an online shop, though.
Yes, you gotta come to either Indie Knit and Spin or...
he did Homespun Yarn Party last year.
Homespun
He's
Yarn Party.
in Maryland.
Yeah. I don't know if he has a shop or anything, or if he just does some shows, but he's definitely at Indie Knit and Spin and Homespun Yarn Party. So another good reason to come by. This is beautiful, beautiful wood, super smooth. Some of the finest, smoothest woodwork I've ever felt, and it makes a fantastic shawl pin because it's straight, but it's got enough of that waviness in there that it locks right into the shawl.
Yeah, we have several other pieces.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was Indie Knit and Spin. So thank you.
Yeah, we saw a lot of new faces.
Yes, we did. We expanded a lot.
Yeah.
We had a whole additional room, and right now we are days away from signing the contract for the
spring show.
Springish show. I never like calling it spring because it's not actually in spring.
This time it will be.
When's the first day of spring?
March 20th.
Okay, yeah. So now it'll actually be in spring. So we are. We'll let everybody know when that's all settled. So you have you had a visit from someone.
So this summer I got to take a class with Jillian Moreno at SSK, and then I forget why, but I was looking on her website and discovered that she was going to be teaching, that a local guild was bringing her to Pittsburgh at the beginning of November. And so I was like super excited. Sign-ups for a class were like in a week. And so I got to finally take the class that I didn't get into at SSK, which was her Bats in the Belfry class. And so I actually contacted her because we had been in talks about control cards, because she had talked about our control cards on the Nitty Spin blog after SSK. And she was the reason why we ended up making the macro precise control card.
And by proxy, the micro as well.
Yes. And so in that discussion, I was like, okay, well, when you come to Pittsburgh to teach, you need to stop by the shop and let me take you out to dinner. So one of the nights of the weekend she was here, I got to take her out to dinner and then take her to the Hipstrings studio, which was amazing. And if you go to her blog at jillianmoreno.com, she posted a lovely post about her visit to the studio. And so I'm looking...
I think we're both blushing.
Yeah.
At least you are.
Looking forward to future collaborations. And then it was absolutely amazing to take another one of her classes. We got to spin heathered bats. We got to spin layered bats. We got to spin striped bats. And just different ways of approaching how to spin a bat, as well as art bats. And it was a lot of fun. And as always with her, as with her other class I took, it made me look at things a little bit differently and be like, oh, well, that's a neat idea of how to do things a little bit differently. So it's always great to take a class with an inspirational teacher because you learn kind of, it may not even be something that's directly related to the topic of class, but you learn something that you probably would have never stepped across otherwise because it wasn't really in your path. And so they kind of put things in your path.
Yeah, there's a reason why these people get these followings, right? And it's very easy to fall into a rut of, oh, well, I know how to do this stuff, and I don't really need to take the class. But when you get some of these real masters, like Jillian Moreno, I'm terrible with names, but
Abby Frankmont, Judith McKenzie.
Thank you.
Amy King.
The wife of Alden Amos.
Stephanie Gastad.
I mean, they give
they
you
have so much knowledge from so much experience.
And they give you a different way of thinking about things. So I totally recommend, even if you think you know that stuff, if you get the chance to learn from one of these masters, please do it because they are well recognized and called masters for a reason.
Mm-hmm. And don't underestimate the resource that a local guild, even if you aren't a member, if you can still keep on touch on what they're up to, they might be bringing teachers in to your local area that you wouldn't otherwise get to have exposure to, or you'd have to spend a lot more money to get. Guilds are such a great resource in the community. Yeah, because I forgot to start decreases. And this is probably not the smartest idea, but I'm not always the smartest knitter.
Fearless ripping back. Jesus.
I'm picking up my stitches before ripping back.
Yeah, that's why I was like, what the hell are you doing? Are you going to make like
this
a
is my
third
new trick.
arm?
I should probably share this. People will wonder what I'm doing. So I forgot that you should put decreases in a sleeve. And I just was so excited to work on this sleeve that I just went for it. And then I realized, oh, there are decreases that go in a sleeve. So instead of just ripping back and then having to hope to pick up, stitches, what I'm doing is I took my needle out, but before I start ripping back, I'm actually threading my needle through the stitches where I want to pick them up.
Show where the actual needle is, because that'll help out the understanding.
I don't have a lot of stitches on here. Let's see. So I'm picking stitches up in a row. And generally you can do this for the entire thing. You're picking up one leg of each knit stitch all the way around. And then your needles are back to where you want them to be. And then you can rip without having to worry about going too far, because the ripping will automatically stop where you have your stitches back in your needle.
It's like
it's instead of doing a lifeline.
Right.
It's kind of an afterthought lifeline.
Yeah. And for those of you that don't know, lifelines are basically they're typically done for lace work, and you get to a point where you say, okay, well, I'm worried about what's coming up next. I'm going to knit my normal yarn
and
but
carry along,
double it up with a waste yarn for a row, and that way, if you end up messing up, you can just take out your needles, rip back to that lifeline, and pick up where the lifeline is.
Yeah. So this is my way of afterthought lifelining.
Yeah. One other thing that goes along with that is as you're knitting along afterwards, if you find that you picked up the stitches twisted, fantastic tip that I read somewhere, I don't remember where, the stitches should always look like a running person, and you always want to grab the front leg. So regardless of whether or not the front leg is in the front of your needles or the back of your needles, always grab the front leg, and that way your stitches won't be twisted. All right, so we sort of slipped into warp, twisted, and loopy.
Yeah.
Not warp, twisted, and loopy. The
pro tips.
Pro tips, yeah. So why don't we go ahead and skip to the knitting for the holidays, right?
Yeah.
Now is the time that everybody's saying, "Oh crap! I have 20 relatives that have asked for some knitted thing, and I have less than."
Or if I really don't want to go to the mall.
Yeah, or if you, or on the flip side, if you really want to show somebody that you really appreciate them, and you want to do something, what do you do? Not the time to start knitting a sweater for them.
No.
But definitely little projects. Even a scarf, I would say, is too much.
Yeah.
Little projects.
Short cowls, not double-length cowls. Like short cowls that just go around the neck once.
Hats.
Fingerless mitts. Slippers.
Fingerless mitts are like at the border of what I'd say.
Yeah, because they're usually a thinner yarn.
Yeah, and they can be tricky too when you've got the thumb holes and stuff. Like good circular knitting, right? That's the cowls, that's the hat, that's the things like that. The other thing that you mentioned specifically is appreciated knits.
Yes.
Right?
Do not knit for people who will not appreciate it.
It's very easy to fall into that problem of oh well, I'm going to show off my knitting skills, and this person's really going to love this because I'm pouring my heart and soul into it, and that might be true. But the amount that you pour your heart and soul into it doesn't necessarily impact how much somebody really understands and appreciates it. So, like, for your sister, she's a crafter. She knows how much effort it takes to make
my sister's
things.
A quilter.
And so when Jill knits something for her or for her family, we know it's going to be appreciated. I think...
I once mentioned to my brother the idea of knitting him something.
Yeah.
And he was like, don't do that. And I was like, but hand knit socks are awesome. He's like, no. So I'm like, okay. You will never get anything hand knit from me.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anybody that in my family or that I know that wouldn't appreciate it. And I think I talk enough about what I do, and my friends are weird enough that they would all appreciate it.
Yeah, I have one friend from grad school that still, every time I see him in person, he thanks me for the crocheted fingerless mitts I made him.
He says,
like 9 years ago. And that he still wears them almost every day during
Yeah.
the winter when he's gaming.
Yeah, because it was about when Gab was born that you gave them to him.
Yeah.
And I mean, 9 years appreciation. That's the person you want to knit stuff for,
Yeah.
or crochet, or weave, or whatever, right? So I would say before you think of things, think of that. The other thing that was fun to keep in mind is that when you start getting burned out, make sure you got a project for yourself. When I went to this knitting at the Ace Hotel, the lady who was organizing it said that her theme for that specific knitting event, because it was before people were really digging down into knitting for the holidays, it was to knit for yourself, do some selfish knitting, right? You do this because it's fun, not because it's a job, not because it's a requirement. Well, maybe some of you do it because it's a job, but you started it because it was fun at the very least. So try and remember that. Keep a project around for yourself and have a goal that at least by the time you're done with all the stuff for everybody else, you've got something done for yourself as well.
And I will also try to do some gift knitting during the rest of the year.
Well, it's too late for that.
I know, but future planning.
That's a problem for future you. But yeah, no. Plan ahead if you can, but...
Well, what I do is I often will knit like shawls and stuff, and then when I'm done, I'll be like, do I love this? And if I don't love it, it goes in the gift pile, and it will find another home where it will be appreciated.
That's okay. If you're not thinking about someone while you're knitting something,
it's still okay.
It's still a good gift, and it's still handmade.
Yep.
Okay. The last thing you want to talk about was the make-along.
Yeah.
For was it in January?
Yes, that's going to start in January. I will put this down so I can talk. So since we're about a month out from January, I wanted to start talking. We're going to be hosting a bunch of make-alongs next year. And the first one is going to be a hand-spun make-along. And the idea is just to give people the courage to work with their own hand-spun. And maybe even, do something more than a single skein shawl where the gauge doesn't really matter and the length doesn't really matter.
But Jill, I'm a new spinner and I have really bulky yarn. Am I going to be able to do this make-along?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to be somebody else. But Jill, I'm not anything like that other guy. I make really, really fine yarn, and that's all I like to do. Am I going to be able to make something with it?
Yeah, because
All right.
the point of it is how to work with your hand spun. And it's, whether or not you're like, okay, I want to make this project, how do I plan my spin accordingly? Or I've got all this lovely hand spun. What do I do with it other than admire it and keep it in my stash for years and years and years and years and years?
You can hang it up on the wall.
But because if you are a spinner, working with your hand spun's the great part of the job. Like, I love my hand spun projects so much more than my commercial spun projects.
Hand spun. It's for more than just weaving. So cool. When's the details on that coming out?
I'm gonna start posting them. I was actually gonna start the thread on Ravelry tonight on December 1st, which of course is a little bit before this podcast will probably go up. So we'll start so that people, can think about what they would want to work with. So this isn't a matter of, oh, you need to spin something and then make something with it during that time. It is, let's take stuff that's already in your stash, hand spun you've already made, and make it into something that you can use and enjoy.
Great. Looking forward to it.
So.
Do we have anything to talk about from in the studio?
So in the studio,
we had our special sale. The studio has been open for 1 year now.
Yeah.
That's where we had the special sale on Small Business Saturday. So thank you everybody for supporting us. Thank you for watching us. Thank you for coming to the studio if you have, or buying on the shop, or just being interested in our stuff. Really,
Yeah.
The fact that you're interested helps us out emotionally a ton.
And we're also hoping to do a lot more for the local community in the next year because, unfortunately, shortly after Indie Knit and Spin, the Steel City Fiber Collective announced that they are closing in mid-December, which has been hard for me to deal with because they are friends, and I really wanted to see them succeed and for their dream to work out. And I know how hard it is. And so, but also, so I'm trying to see what I can do to keep some of that community alive so that isn't lost with the loss of their space. So working on some things. Hopefully we'll have some announcements in January related to that. So please support your local fiber establishments. Whether or not it's your local yarn shop, because Pittsburgh also lost a yarn shop in the last month. And so support your local establishments as well as your online favorites.
And I will add that supporting doesn't necessarily have to mean spending money.
It can just be showing up for events.
And not only that, but if there's a reason why you're not showing up, if there's a reason why you're not spending money,
let them know.
Talk to them. We're people. There was a great thing I loved when you told me on Small Business Saturday there was a meme going around that says when you buy from a small business shop, an actual person does a happy little dance.
Yep.
And it's really true.
Yes.
So you go to Home Depot and you buy something, there's nobody doing a happy little dance.
Yeah.
If you want a happy little dance, go to a small business shop. But yeah, no, we want to. I obviously can't speak for everybody, but I know the vast majority of small shops, local shops, yarn shops, they want to serve their community. They want to give you what you want. So if you're not seeing what you want, tell us. Tell your local yarn shop. Tell Jill and me. Tell whoever. Talk to us because you are the reason that we exist, not because we like yarn. We like yarn. That's part of the reason we exist. But the majority of the reason we exist is to help you and to interact with you. And
especially in our case, since we do have a commercial space, like most of our sales are online, which is great. It what keeps us going and is fabulous. And it really makes me appreciate all the online sales. But I really wanted to be able to use that to form a better fiber community in my area. And so that's why I have my studio open. It's not to bring in extra sales. It's to have that connection with local makers. So seriously, I love the people who come in my shop and don't spend any money as much as the people who come in and do spend money. I really just want you to come in so we can geek about fiber together. So with that, thank you very much for watching again. Thank you for all of your support in the last year. It's really been an amazing year. And we will we'll have one more before the end of the year, hopefully. One more episode. Oh, yes. And if you are in the Pittsburgh area, we are having a New Year's Eve spin-in and potluck. I mean, one of those. We're not planning on going that late. It's during the day. Oh, but I could still. No. We need noisemakers and party hats. That's the word. When we talk about it next time, okay. We'll need to. Party hats. Yeah. Noisemakers. Yeah. At least a bottle of champagne or something. We had a bottle of champagne a couple episodes ago for no reason, right? Yeah. So at least we got a reason now. Okay. Thanks so much. Thank you. Have a great 2 weeks. Bye. Bye.